Welcome to another episode of Love and Reality Podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valero. On today's episode, we have a special guest from Love is Blind UK Season 2 joining us. But first, let me introduce my co-host, Ashley. How are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. I'm so excited for our guest today.
I am excited as well. I feel like he has a lot to say, and just my opinion. And before we introduce him, the reunion felt like almost a justification to some of what this man said. So I'm excited to dive a little bit into that. Don't you agree?
I definitely agree. I watched it last night and I was even more excited to talk to him today.
I agree. I agree. Welcome to the show from Love is Blind Season 2 UK. Javan, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very well. Thank you for having me.
We're excited to have you on the show. There's so many different layers of what we saw from you, and then of course the clarity of some of it. That's the most exciting part, I'm sure, for you, A, and B for us, is to have you on the show. But I want to go back, a little bit. I want to take audiences back a little bit and kind of get to know you. Who are you? Tell us a little bit about your background and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I was born in London to Jamaican parents. Always played sports, so football's been my thing, real football. And yeah, so kind of like what I said in the show. Yeah, I played football. Actually ended up moving to the States. So I played 4 years at Georgia State, so you can see there. Ended up graduating, lived in Atlanta for 2 years, lived in New Jersey for 2 years.
Jersey.
Then I moved back to London in 2019. And then in context to the show, I guess actually that was kind of when I was in America, we're kind of skipping ahead, but like when I was in America, it's a bit weird. But in that time, I never really wanted to date seriously because I didn't know that I knew I wasn't going to live there, and I always felt bad, like, oh, like if I get in a serious relationship with a girl, knowing that I want to come back here, I think it's a big ask to ask a lady to uproot and come to London with me. So I always felt I was kind of removed myself from like dating when I was in college, which is probably like a crazy thing to do. Then I came back and then I kind of had to rebuild my life when I got back here because everyone here had moved on and doing what they're doing. I had to kind of start from scratch again. So I kind of took myself out of dating as well because I didn't feel like it was the right thing to do. And then maybe from like 22 onwards is when I was really putting myself back out there, dating again, so on and so forth, which then, a few years later, I end up going on the show. So, yeah.
That's amazing. So what made you want to go on Love is Blind?
I think when I was approached with it, I'll be honest, at first, I kind of didn't take it seriously. So when I was first approached, I was like, I didn't think I would even get on this anyway, like the casting process and whatnot. So as I was doing the interviews and we was going through it, each stage, I just thought, I'm not going to get through anyway. And the more that they explained the concept to me, because I'll be honest, I had watched Love is Blind the first season that it ever came out. After that, I'd never watched it again. So I wasn't too familiar with even how it worked. And then the more they explained the process to me, the more I was intrigued. I'd been dating for a couple of years up to that point, had a few unsuccessful kind of situations. And I just thought, you know what, like, why not? Let's give it a go. I think if you go into something like this, you might as well give it your all. So I was like, you know what, let me give it a go.
Yeah, so obviously one of the biggest misconceptions early on of the show and watching the show is that you didn't take the process seriously. And I felt like even watching you in the pods, it felt like you were authentic to the process, yeah?
I would say so. When I see people leave comments like that, I just think it's hard to not take it seriously when you're in it because it is very intense. I find it hard to even describe how it works to people because it is intense. You have to take it seriously, but also the caveat to that is, well, there's elements that, and I probably sound like a broken record, but there's elements that people just don't see. Like there's so much that happens. Like there's hours and hours in the lounge. There's hours and hours dating. There's no way you can craft a bit of an opinion, but no one's opinion is going to be accurate. And no one's, even the people that went all the way, it's never going to be 100% accurate because of how much you guys get to see versus what really takes place. But of course I took it seriously. I would have just went home if I didn't want to be there. No one was forcing me there. No one put a gun to my head and said, Jav, you got to stay. I could leave if I wanted to leave. So
For sure. Of course, we see your connections kind of play out in the pods with Katisha, but were there some other ladies that you connected with in the pods that you made strong connections with?
Yeah, so so Megan Megan is one of them. Which is quite funny. Uh,
Oh,
when it got down to it, it was in my the last few days, it was between Megan and Katisha. And essentially what kind of happened was that I was feeling a bit more strongly for Katisha, and Megan was feeling a bit more strongly for Kieran. And we had like we had a nice date where we kind of was just like, look, you're going that way, I'm going that way. We could probably just park it here. It was very respectful. It was like it was very friendly. And then there was one other who she wasn't showing, Holly. Me and Holly was also got very close, but then again things kind of fizzled out as well towards the end.
yeah, we saw quite an interesting situation play out between, as viewers, between you, Demila, and Katisha.
Yeah.
What was the experience like for you? And even like watching back, how are you feeling about it?
So watching it back, yeah, I actually find it quite difficult to watch. In the sense that it's quite an intense watch for me. Watching all the episodes, I don't know, I found it to be very intense. And I'm someone, I don't really get too emotional or caught up, but I did find it quite intense to watch it. The reality of our relationship, like me and Demila, we was very friendly throughout the whole process. We got like similar backgrounds. We even got like a lot of mutual friends that we didn't know. Like, so we spent quite a lot of time together. Me, Demila, and Jed, like we spent quite a lot of time together. So one of the things I would say, the dynamic that was kind of created within the process was, obviously we're all dating the same girls, but me and him kind of never directly spoke about Katisha to each other. And I think that was for the better, because in my mind, I was like, I don't want to affect his dates with her. I want him to go in there with a clear mind so that she can make the right choice. And I didn't want him to affect my dates with her either. So we never like sat there and discussed our dates with Katisha or anything like that.
Yeah. So after the process plays out, right? Talk to us a little bit about the reveal. What's going through your head of the reveal? Like, because it was almost even like a shocking moment as a viewer, but maybe not as shocking as you when the date plays out, the proposal happens. And then the reveal is obviously one of the more interesting dynamics of the show, because like you're finally getting to see this person that you've been talking to and getting to know. So talk to us a little bit about that reveal.
There, I don't get anxious very often. But that day, the day of the reveal, you're like, geez, like you're just praying that. I, I, I'm gonna say what I need to say. You're praying that she looks good.
Exactly.
You're sitting there, you're like, I hope she looks good. If she doesn't look good, I don't mind. I'll make it work. But you're just hoping she looks good. Obviously, Katisha is a very beautiful woman. She looks good. All the boys, I think everyone felt the same way. Some people just maybe didn't verbalize it, but yeah, that is quite an intense. It's a very surreal moment, and it's very short. You don't spend a lot of time. You don't spend a lot of time together. It's very short. So it was like, okay, yeah, it was. I enjoyed it, to be honest. I don't know if I'd want to do that again. It was quite intense, but yeah, I enjoyed it.
So, of course, we saw a bunch of drama between you and Katisha unfold, but we want to know about the good. Like, what good
Mm,
came from the relationship that we didn't quite see?
yeah, so I think that for the viewers, obviously it seemed to me when I watch it, it's like very negative, but there was a lot of positive. Like there was a lot of times together where we was talking about her childhood. There was a lot of times we was talking about just kind of her upbringing, and there was like some quite emotional moments about her kind of dealing with her race and kind of being the only mixed race and biracial person in her small town in Scotland, and what that was like. And we spoke a lot about the differences between my experience growing up in London, where there's black people everywhere, versus her being in Scotland, where there is no black people, and she doesn't really have that connection with the black side of her family. And that was, for me, that was quite important, because that's stuff that I would talk about with my friends, or a girl I'd be dating in London. Like we talk about issues that our communities have. So there was a lot of connections around that, and she's a big family person. She got a big family, as you guys saw when I met her family. She got a lot of siblings.
Yeah.
So we're both very close with our families. Like I'm close with my sisters, my brother, my nieces, my nephews. So there was a lot of conversation around those shared values, and also work and business. So she, at the time, I'm not sure if she's still doing it now, but at the time she was working on building up. She was working on a business as well, and there was a lot of things we was like sharing ideas, and yeah, there was a lot of moments about just like building each other up, which obviously, unfortunately, not everyone got to see, but that's why, you know, so I seen someone say a comment the other day about why does Katisha still talk so highly of me? It's because of what you guys didn't get to see, in the sense that we did share a lot of good moments, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting part of navigating the process, right? Because when you're watching the show, obviously, when I watch the show, obviously, it's not the same as everybody because you get the comments. I've seen the comments. I've seen some of the comments and stuff like that. But it's like there is a level of you two being authentic because you wouldn't have made it to where you did in the experiment had it not been there, right?
Yeah, and I think it's difficult because and there's no one to blame. They can only they can only show what they can show, right? But it's difficult because I don't really. I got to the point where I just kind of stopped looking at the comments. I got that was kind of easy for me
You
to do.
have to.
Yeah, I think it's not healthy to kind of look at it all the time for me. I'm even saying that to the guys now, like after the reunions come out, like guys, just don't because you're gonna just turn yourself crazy. So yeah, it's difficult, and it's funny because I spoke to Katisha this morning. It is difficult to navigate like how people view it versus what really happened, and you know, yeah, it is what it is.
For sure. So obviously the mixer was quite an interesting, situation. But again, it's a condensed version of what we see. Obviously, we understand why they showed the conversation so heavily with you and Sophie. There was definitely a playful dynamic. You never even denied that. You know what I mean? Like you've been pretty transparent about a lot of the situation. But walk us through those events of that night through your POV.
Yeah, so the mixer, also there's two elements, right? There's what happens on camera, then there's the whole going out after, right? So in the mixer, I would say I still stand by, you know, that my personality is jokey. You know, there was a lot of banter. Even with Sophie, there was a lot of like we was just kind of cracking jokes with each other, and there was also a lot of like stuff that we spoke about that wouldn't be relevant to what you guys say because it was like behind the scenes stuff. I can't really go into the details of it, but we was talking about stuff that they like wasn't relevant, basically, for me to put it that way. That's the safest way for me to put it. So with that being said, that's why there's like elements of what you see, but like we're laughing and joking, but you don't really see like the meat and bones of what we was really talking about, and you couldn't like just you wouldn't be able to. So was I like I said, I can definitely see the behavior was disrespectful to Katisha at that particular stage in the experiment of her being my fiance. So I can accept that, and I can hold my hands up to that, and I never denied it. Or I never said, oh, you know, I didn't do that. I just said, you know, I accepted it. Yep, it was the wrong take. I apologized to her off camera and on camera. So for me at that stage, or at this particular stage, there isn't really much more I could do apart from apologize and say, you know, that behavior wasn't the right thing to be doing at that particular stage. But then if we go to the off-camera stuff, and probably what kind of made the most noise, we go to the bar or this club, and we basically had an extension of the disagreement that we was having. We actually had the disagreement in the mixer, but we just had an extension of that disagreement. And again, I can't get into the details of what was said, but more stuff about behind the scenes stuff, boom, 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 the whole photo booth stuff, which there was no curtain. I think we're happy to you know, we can, everyone knows I didn't lie about that now, so we can get that out of the way. But yeah, we had that conversation, and yeah, it wasn't, I didn't talk to her for very long, maybe 15-20 minutes, and then yeah, that was it. And that night I spoke to Anu, I spoke to Yolanda, and then I ended up sitting down with Patrick and Patrick and Demola for the rest of the evening. And it was out, I was maybe out for like 2 hours at best. And that was it. So the parts that you lot see where me and Megan are going at it, a lot of it was, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's this. Why am I harping onto the semantics?" Without sounding like a broken record, the reason I'm harping on the semantics is because semantics matter, and that's to me it matters. I like to use precise language. Some people don't, but I like to use precise language. So
Yeah, one
Yeah,
of the
no, I
sorry, one of the things that I found interesting, because even in talking to you now and even watching you on the show, you do have a very playful personality, right? You have a very and I could be wrong, you are funny, you have a fun, it can be seen, and guys do, and I'm not saying not all guys, but some guys do suffer from the stigma of being over, I don't even really know the word. Just like you're comfortable, you have fun, you like to joke, you like to, which can be taken as also very flirty. You know what I mean? As a guy, I understand that dynamic, so that's why I'm saying it to you. But it's like you have that personality, you have a vibrant personality, you have a smile about you, you have this almost confidence about you that kind of probably not the first time that's probably ever gotten you in trouble. But you understand what I'm saying with that dynamic right there?
yeah, and I think without getting all philosophical here, I think that sometimes people want you to be on. People don't like it when you don't operate on their frequency. So if I was just being upset and glum all the time, sometimes people want to see you like that. But I could never be like that. Like that's just not me. I walk in the room, everyone's upset. I will be there smiling. Like I'm like I can be optimistic about most things, and I don't let things bog me down because I've already had hardship before. I've been through hardship. I've been through things that you know people wouldn't be able to handle. So for me, nothing can be worse than where I've been. So everything's good. Everything's good to some degree. There's always a silver lining, you know.
I love that.
yeah, no, for sure. So after you come back from the mixer or the bar or whatever, were you in shock coming back to you went from being engaged to coming back to a letter and a breakup?
Mm. So
How did you feel about that?
so you're talking about after me and Katisha had the argument?
Yes.
Okay, so obviously we had the argument, and then she had left, and there was no contact between like her leaving and then me coming back and seeing the letter, right? So, but again, what you guys don't see is when we had the argument, right? The way it looks is that I just walk off, but I never just walked off. We have the argument, and then before I go, I say to her, "Look, go and get Megan and Kieran, come back here, and let's all have a discussion face to face." That's what that's what I requested. That's what I asked for. That's what I told her before I left. I was like, go get them. Let's come back because I don't want to do he say, she say. I'm a very confrontational person. If I have to hash it out with you there and then, let's do it there and then. And that's the best way for me. That's how I felt was the best way to deal with it at the time. Obviously, she didn't do that and she left. So when I came back and I saw the letter and I didn't see Megan and Kieran and her in the room waiting for me to have an argument, I was like, okay, well, I was disappointed. But I was disappointed in the fact that she didn't hear me out. She didn't really, there was no opportunity for me to even give my side apart from that small argument that we had. There was no opportunity to give my side. And, I said it to her that I felt it was a little bit weak. I did say that to her that I felt it was weak, that you kind of took her word over mine, which is fine. But, you spent more time with me. So why not give me an opportunity to at least kind of, you know, say what I need to say?
Yeah, talk to me a little bit about processing that, right? Because this whole experiment is interesting. And I've always felt like, yeah, I do believe in the experiment. I do believe that you can fall in love faster because those conversations are escalated on a higher level. But talk to us about how maybe you dealt with kind of the aftermath because you did have feelings, you did care, you did have all of those things.
Yeah. I was disappointed. I was disappointed, and I think that some people may say, okay, why didn't you when you knew she had left, why didn't you try and chase her to come back? But I think at that point, I'd already felt like there was already other things that had played a part as well, like the communication around her and Demola, um, and I'd already felt like, okay, there's a few behaviors here that probably don't align with me. And so for me I didn't really feel like I wanted to chase it anymore anyway. So it was like, if you're not going to give me the chance to say what I want to say, I kind of just sat with that in terms of my feelings. And I was disappointed. That's the best way for me to describe it. I was disappointed, and I just felt like we didn't really get a chance to explore how far we could have really taken it, because there was still more time in the process for us to, because you didn't see us, we didn't get to do the part like the suit fitting and her doing the dress fitting and all that stuff. And I felt like even if it wasn't a solid yes on on either side, there was still more time in the experiment to develop to that. Like I wanted to go as far as we could and be honest with each other along the way, and we didn't really get the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, because
I'm
we
not
even saw that with like, sorry, we even saw that with like Billy, right? You know what I mean? Like Billy felt like a hard no at many different levels of the show, and then became a yes. Whether it works out, it doesn't matter. But that experiment could have, or the experience could have been a little bit different had you had those 2 or 3 extra weeks to really hone into that, right?
Exactly, and that's a good example. That's a perfect example. Whether it worked out or not, obviously that's a different story. But that's exactly. And some people will look at that and say, "Oh, well, you only wanted to go further. It wasn't about her." But no, but it was about her because I was doing the experience with her, and it was because of her why I was there, and it was because of her why I wanted to continue. So it's about her. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was like hoping. I was like, I hope when the new episodes come out, I'm like, I hope they have like a conversation again. But I mean, I totally get it. So let's talk about the reunion. It felt different in many ways, but what happened and how do you feel it was, it was shown?
Do you want me to talk about me personally or the other guys?
No, you personally. It was a lot. I
um,
know. It honestly, the reunion was really good.
yeah, that was probably the only episode I enjoyed watching. um, I enjoyed the reunion actually. I think that on the day, a lot of people were nervous, they were worried. I didn't really feel too worried. I kind of just felt like this is our chance to kind of say what we really want to say. And I think that being up there, it was difficult for. I felt like it was difficult for Katisha to like really express herself. Um, I don't know. I think obviously it's nerve wracking. There is a live crowd there as well, so maybe I felt like she maybe found it a little bit difficult to say everything she really wanted to say. Um, for me personally, I felt like I was able to get my points across. Um, yeah, I enjoyed it overall. I enjoyed it overall. It's the one episode where I'm not getting hate. So
Yeah, to me, one of the interesting elements of it all, right, is the photo booth situation. Were you aware that they were going to show the curtain beforehand? And if you didn't, when they did show it, it felt like I felt you were gonna like run a lap. I thought you were gonna turn like Tom Cruise and start jumping on the couch or something. You know what I mean? Like, because it was like it kind of vilified it really opened the door to be like, hey, this man was telling the truth.
yeah. So I wasn't aware that they were gonna do like the whole like the way that Matt and Emma set it up, and then I wasn't aware of that. But I had a feeling inside that the photo booth would be shown. I did feel that. I do think Kieran knew because if you notice, right before they say it, he starts backtracking. He starts backtracking instantly, and
I
he's like, "No,
noticed
just."
that.
And when he started doing that, I was like, "Hmm, I wonder why. I wonder why." Rather
Does it
than
really matter?
yeah,
Does it
and
really
Yeah,
matter?
like did it?
yeah,
Yeah.
they started backtracking instantly, and that's when I was like, "Oh yeah, they're gonna." I knew I kind of felt it, so yeah, I didn't know about it, but hey. And the reason I didn't react too gleefully is because there is a valid point that essentially the curtain doesn't matter in a sense of I still went in there, I still shouldn't have went out, blah blah blah. But I'd already apologized for that earlier within that segment, so there's nothing more I can do on that side. But on the flip side, the reason it does matter is because if you rewatch the clip, which I rewatched it this morning, they were very adamant that there was a curtain. Kieran's exact words is, "I saw you go in the curtain and pull the curtain. Saw you go in the photo booth and pull." Those were his words. He said he saw me pull it. So I don't know what he was drinking or smoking that night because I don't know what he saw, but he must have saw something I didn't see. So the reason it matters is because if you could lie about that, what other element of your story was embellished, or what other element of your story, you might have added a bit extra sauce on that story to make it sound a certain way, and yeah, so that's why it matters.
I mean, from a guy's point of view and a girl's point of view, a closed curtain means a lot because you never know what happens behind the closed curtain. You can sit here and say you're lying. You can sit here and say we fought the entire time, but a closed curtain can mean so many different things. And you put that in somebody's head as a guy, as a girl, it doesn't matter. You automatically think the worst, especially in an escalated process where we're getting married in 2.5, 3 weeks or whatever it was.
And the emotions are high as well. it does matter. I think the only and that's why I said the only thing I was disappointed about is the way that the message was conveyed. I had no issue with Megan going to Katisha. I didn't care. Like that's your friend. You can do whatever you want. But it was the way the message was conveyed. If she went to Katisha and said, "Look, I saw Jav talking to Sophie. I saw Jav talking to Anu and Yolanda. I think you need to talk to him. I didn't like his behavior." I would be like, I can accept that because then she's going to confront me, probably less in an emotional way and more like, Jav, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Then I can sit down and explain, oh, it wasn't anything serious, blah, blah, blah. But the way that it was conveyed, there was so much that was insinuated by the way the message was conveyed that I never got that opportunity.
Wow. Um, that's like, I saw your post after, I guess, the reunion aired or whatever about the curtain, and I was cracking up, and I was like, "That's hilarious," but, like, I went to go read the comments, and I'm like, "Of course, they're gonna find some," like, you were trying to be funny about it, and they were, like, taking it serious, but besides the curtain situation, what else shocked you in the reunion? Like, mainly the breakups.
Yeah. um Cow and Sarova, man. That
I
that one,
know.
yeah, that obviously I had known that they didn't. I think I had known maybe like a month before, a month before the reunion came out. I'd known that they had a breaking down, but I didn't know the details of it. I never asked Cal the details of it. I didn't think it was my place to ask. Um, and I was surprised. I was surprised. I did think that they were both taking a gamble, and I think the whole process is a gamble in itself. But the way that Sarova explained it surprised me, and you probably might have seen some of my facial expressions. I got a lot of messages
Yes.
about it. I was surprised, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it was crazy because obviously you were there. Obviously, it films over a long time. They condensed it into a small thing, but like to open it like within the first like 2 minutes of watching the reunion, I'm like, oh my god, like this is like a bombshell. You know what I
Yeah,
I
mean?
think
it was shocking.
that's what kept everybody there. Like, I've never seen like a reunion open up to that. Usually it like escalates to like, and I was in shock too. I can't even lie.
Yeah, they did a good job the way what stories they put first.
Amazing job.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Talk to me about a scene that maybe you wish would have been showed that wasn't, right? You know what I mean? It could be a positive scene, it could be a whatever scene. What is there a specific scene? You don't have to go on grand details or anything like that. Talk to me about a scene you wish would have been showed.
I got two actually. I got two. I think it's episode 6 where all the other couples, you see them on their special date. There's a date like Jed and Bada on the buggy, and Karen Sarova are doing the mud massage. So like when you're away, everyone gets a special date. So me and Katisha had a special date. Unfortunately, you guys didn't get to see it, but we did have a special date that was on the beach. And that was it's a really beautiful moment. I was sweating like hell, but it was like a really beautiful moment. She was wiping the sweat off my head. Like it was really nice. And then there was another moment that was quite, it was positive, but it was just showing the depth in which we was going in terms of our relationship and our friendship as well. When we went to Scotland, and there was a moment where we was in Dumfries and we was laying on like a riverbank, and we was talking about the racial things I was talking about previously about her growing up, and I was explaining to her like I find it difficult to relate because I don't even understand what that feels like. I can't tell you what it feels like to be like the only black person in the room at school or something like that. Because in London, it's not like that. And then I also kind of told her, we were speaking about the wedding, and I admitted to her that I felt conflicted at this moment. I was like, because I like you, but I'm not sure we're at the stage where we could say I do because of our communication. And I expressed that to her. But we both got through it. But it was a harsh moment, but it was like a beautiful moment because I felt like we got closer from that moment. So those are
Yeah,
the
for
two.
sure. Like, there's always moments in the show that we didn't see, and seeing that probably would have had us like, damn, like they really do, like each other. They're really into each other. But who are you still close with on the show?
So on the guy's side, Demola, Jed, Tom, who you guys see him a little bit. He has that little segment with Patrick where he talks about if you pee on a tree, you're connected to the tree for life. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah,
How could I forget?
yeah,
Did I say Patrick? Patrick,
yeah.
Mr. Spleen.
What's this girl?
Oh, Charlie. They don't really. You see Charlie a little bit as well in the first few episodes, and Ross as well, Ross M, which again you guys won't see too much of him. So on the guy side, me, Billy and Cal, we're pretty cool as well. We're pretty close. We trained every day together, as in like we was in the gym together every morning when we're filming. So yeah, because they're both gym guys. I was a gym guy, so we's in the gym together every day. So quite a few, about 6 or 7 of the boys, and then on the girl side, me and Anu, we're quite friendly. Talk a lot about like work and stuff and business, and that's about it on the girl side, to be honest.
Okay, that makes I mean, I love Anu. I love her. Like I hope to see her on like another show or something. She seems like a good time.
Yeah, Annie's
Um,
really cool.
my next question is, are you in a relationship right now?
No, no, right now I'm single. I think since this when I after I came out the show, I tried to date pretty quickly. Not pretty quickly, maybe like okay, let me say like 2-3 months after. But I just found it quite difficult. Personally, I just felt like I had this thing hanging over me, and I just felt like let me just give it more time. So I kind of just stayed clear for the past year.
Yeah, final question to you is, could we see you potentially on any other reality TV shows in the future?
I don't know if I'd want to do another dating show, you know. I don't know. It's not a hard no. If it's the right opportunity, then I would do it, but I would sit down and really consider it.